Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and good morning to Caleb and others joining remotely from a distant place. My name is Girmaw, and I work with Caleb and Akram on the AI4Good lab at Microsoft. Personally, I lead the Africa team AIForGood here in Kenya. And of course, a great pleasure to join the conversation to give an overview of what AI4Good is about and why we are in Africa, some of the projects we are doing already, and then what we plan to do going forward in the future. It's unfortunate I'm joining remotely from Nairobi because I thought I would I will travel away, but a change of plan. I didn't travel, and it was a bit late to join you in person. So a quick, of course, reminder is we all are under rapidly changing world, for sure, across different dynamics. If we consider technology, it has been demonstrated that they could, make almost every sector more efficient across different dimensions, but also we don't undermine the risk technology may have, right? They say these technologies often help to address or help addressing certain issues, but it could also amplify others, inequalities, and so on. However, this is a type of an example we often reflect in our lab, that we say we put a man to the moon before we even put wheels to our luggage. This is just trying to underline the need of prioritizing, working on fundamental problems that are, their impact is very, very significant in short term. By that, I mean, for example, if you consider climate change, a lot of adverse impacts are felt across different part of the globe and areas, whether that is hurricanes or people migrating due to both man-made or natural disasters. Not only humans, of course, as a team of the workshop, whether it's wildlife or the undersea ecosystem is also facing similar challenge. And then our motivation at AI4Good is actually focusing on working on similar problems. As a team, we are composed of scientists, including myself, Caleb, and Akram here, but also we have great domain experts in the team, economists, and importantly, visualization experts that tries to, provide the insights extract from the model to the end user or the domain experts. Even if the lab is not old, but in a very short period of time, we managed to work across different projects in specific domains like healthcare, climate change, natural resource conservation, and so on, almost everywhere across 6 continents and maybe a very growing number of countries. And of course, Smithsonian is another good example. We are having 8 projects on. As a team, we have different specialties. That is starting from, of course, healthcare, medical imaging, and efficient way of understanding genomes, but also, language models and disinformation if we consider the war in Russia and in Ukraine. Biodiversity is another aspect of our big focus, but we, at least in Africa, and including Caleb and others in Redmond, heavily focused on geospatial machine learning that aims to take geospatial information, machine learning techniques to extract insights for domain experts across different domains. Other than the technical specialties, open data is also one of our dimension. We encourage to put data sources available there for greater impact so that different stakeholders could use them, but also we encourage our partners to make their data available so that, similar impact could be achieved. So where Africa? If we come back to Africa, where we are now at the moment, from the AI side, there is definitely a promising potential, actually, and it has been demonstrated the impact of AI has facilitated processes in different sectors, whether it's manufacturing, banking, healthcare, and so on. But also the continent is now actively have different communities that aim to galvanize efforts of developing AI solutions across different sectors. These are communities based in the continent. Actually, Deep Learning Endeavor, as you probably know, is one of probably the biggest AI communities in the continent, and that's exactly where Akram is not at the moment, since we are having our annual conference. And of course, we as lab members also try to share our experience and skills when working actively with the communities in shaping conversations about AI and the development in the continent. And why AI4Good Lab in Africa, for that matter, in addition to the promising potential and the exciting community we have. But of course, it is very clear that, for example, if you consider climate change, the global south, including Africa, have a greater risk compared to even its emission. Due to that, the AI4Good Lab was first started in Nairobi, Kenya, and we are also opening up in Cairo, Egypt. So we more or less have 2 physical presence made up of research scientists, and along with Caleb and his team in Redmond, we try to focus on geospatial ML and work on projects that are focused on Africa. What are the projects or the type of topics we try to touch base with our projects are, as I said, those related to climate and sustainability, that include disaster preparedness and response, of food and water security, sustainability, and so on. So practically, we actually started the lab here in Kenya, I think in March, but after that, we already have a few projects already up and running that are focused on Africa and across those dimensions I mentioned earlier. One is food and water security, led by Jules, who is also the other research scientist in the team. And then the focus is understanding irrigation pattern in central Kenya. That comes from actually first understanding where the croplands are in that region around Meru. Then we could also try to identify which croplands are irrigated versus not. And this helps us to get a high-level pattern so that, the right collaboration could be done to achieve both water and food security. Another project, probably most of you are aware, led by Akram, who will be presenting later, is trying to use AI in order to help resolving wildlife conflict resolution with Smithsonian, Kenya Wildlife Trust, and so on. So he will definitely give us the details later. But also we had a bit of work on understanding the ecology of Maasai giraffes, which we know are under endangered species by now. So we had our intern Solem spent a few months with us trying to understand the growth pattern in that region, specifically in Tanzania. I know the theme of the workshop is about satellite imagery or aerial and data understanding. To that line, we also had another project in Namibia where we try to use old archives of aerial photographs that helps us to understand long-term climate impacts. And this and others are sort of projects we are focused on. In fact, recently we even started understanding malnutrition in Kenya in close collaboration with AMREF and Kenya Ministry of Health. But healthcare could be, a dominant factor if there's climate change and related challenges. Those problems have certain intrinsic connectivity among them. But more or less, I hope by this I give you why we are here in the first place and what are the topics we are very focused on trying to work on and collaborate. and potentially some of these projects are already but happy to dive in later if some details are necessary. The other key perspective of our work is actually the clear understanding that we are not domain experts across those areas. We are mostly AI researchers. To do that, we heavily collaborate with partners in every project we work on. That's also for us another way of achieving an impact. The fact that we are here today, we collaborate with those local and international partners with similar problem of interest is our way of achieving impact. Because as AI researchers, we often criticized by the fact that many solutions are not actually practical on the ground for the end user. And then to avoid that, we heavily focused on collaborating with subject matter experts, policymakers, and so on to drive that impact we want to achieve at the end. Importantly, as AI lab, we are very focused on data. So trying to collaborate with entities that own data or trying to help them curate data sources that could be used for their decision-making going forward, or that could be easily shared with the community for greater impact is also one of our aim. Of course, you see in the logo, Smithsonian Institute, Kenya Wildlife Trust, the Nature Conservancy, AMREF are some of the local partners we are already working on, but also we already have in conversation with others in ideating projects of similar interest in our future projects. So far, I was trying to give some of these individual projects we are working on and our great excitement in collaborating with subject matter experts. But something we actually kicked off last July was what we call Africa AI Innovation Council. I know some of you were probably invited. Irene from Kenya Wildlife Trust, a few partners from DSRS have been actually invited and share their perspective. And the idea is our problems are often similar, and AI as technology could be done across these different, whether it's agriculture or wildlife and water scarcity. It could be applied in generic pattern, but the challenge of data and how to develop impactful solutions and opportunities are some of the discussions in that conversation. And our hope is that via this Africa AI Innovation Council, we, rather than very individual scoped project, we aim to develop solutions for projects that we know have a chance to be scaled across the continent. To that end, we partnered with, for example, Africa Risk Capacity, which is under AU, the Africa Climate Foundation, and Africa Development Bank, which have a big say in those conversations around climate change and sustainability informing the council. But of course, we also have different entities involved from academia, startups, NGOs, and governmental entities in driving the conversation. As I said, the topics are focused on climate change and sustainability, but the subtopics include food and water security, energy, public health, and biodiversity. And planet is also a great enabler in this conversation, as we often have data collected across different locations and time for our analysis. I think that's more or less a quick intro from myself about the necessity of working on fundamental problems. That's what I mean by prioritization is key. There are a lot of challenges that could be done, but for us as an African and a lab based in Africa, we have this huge interest on focusing on challenges related to sustainability. Toward that end, we always make sure that we don't create a problem we want to solve. Rather, we collaborate with domain experts like all of you to actually make sure we are putting efforts on problems that are actually very existing, valid, so that as a solution we develop could be used on the ground later. And then that's why we need the importance of collaborating with subject matter experts. On top of that, of course, data is key, how to use it effectively and how to share so that we could all achieve more across our day-to-day tasks is also another thing we want to drive as a part of AI4Good Lab here in the continent. Most importantly, probably some of you are already aware, the newly inaugurated AI Innovation Council is something we hope to grow together with, including everyone's voice, perspective, so that solutions are not silos. Something I came across often is same problem, a solution for the same problem is being developed by different entities without much communication. Food security is a problem, but different NGOs, even government entities are trying to come up with their solution. And my probably take-home message, and actually in line with the workshop today, is let's not do that in silos. Let's communicate, collaborate, so that hopefully the solution will be much bigger and impactful. That's it from my side, and over to you, Jared. I don't know if there are any questions, we should address them, or maybe later